Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Android application development tutorial with Android Studio. In this episode we are going to learn about how to working with a toggle button in your Android application. So by using a toggle button you can change the state between two settings. For example, you can change your Wi-Fi state between on and off using a toggle button. So in this episode I'm going to create an Android application that will demonstrate how to place a toggle button in your Android application and how to handle the click events of the toggle button. From Android version 4.0 onwards, Google introduced another GUI component called the switches. So switches also performing the same functionality of a toggle button. Okay, so create a new project in Android Studio. So first we have to add the needed GUI. So here I am going to add a toggle button. And make the width into wrap content, height also wrap content. Provide an ID for the toggle button using ID attribute. I name it as toggle button 1. Okay. Also you can provide the text for the two state. So here I am going to provide two state text. So first one is text on. I name it as vibrate on. Now provide an off text. So use the attribute text off. Name it as vibrate off. The default state of a toggle button is off state. Okay. And now I align this one at the center. Android layout gravity into center horizontal. Now look at the design. Now we got a toggle button at the center of the layout. The default state is vibrate off. Okay. Now to display the result, here I am going to add a text view with this wrap content, height also wrap content. Provide a text for the text view, Android text hello world. Okay. Also we need an ID for this text view. So use the ID attribute plus ID. I name it as result text. Okay. Also here I am going to align this text view at the center, layout gravity into center horizontal. Also the text appearance into large one. Use the text appearance attribute. Okay. Now we have two components, a toggle button and a text view. Okay. One more thing, now we have to add an onClick method for the toggle button. So whenever user perform an action on the toggle button, we have to handle the click events. So here I am going to add an onClick method for the toggle button using the onClick attribute. I name it as change vibrate state. Okay. Now we have to define this method. Now we have to define this method on the main activity.java file. So I copy this method and open up the main activity.java, and here I am going to define that method public void. Method name is change vibrate state. Also for displaying the result we need an object of the text view. Okay, now we have to initialize this text view on the onCreate method. So text view equal to find view by id r dot id dot result text, cast this one into corresponding class. Here the class name is text view. Okay, and here I am going to hide this text view using the method set visibility. I make it invisible. Okay, so whenever user perform an action on the toggle button, we have to switch on and switch off the vibrate state. Okay, so here is the method. Don't forget to add a view attribute. Sorry, it is not attribute, it's just a parameter. Okay, so now we have to check whether the state is checked or unchecked, that means on or off. For that, here I am going to create a boolean variable. I name it as checked. So here the view component is a toggle button. Now specify the view object. Now call the method isChecked. So if the toggle button is on in on state, we got true on this boolean variable. If it is in off state, we got false. Okay, so now we have to check the state. If it is in on state, we have to display some message using the text view. So text view dot set text vibrate on. Now we have to enable the text view, set visibility into visible. Okay, other case, we have to show the vibrate option is off. So text view dot set text vibrate off. Okay, now we can test the application. So now here I am going to run the application. Okay, now we have the application available on the virtual device. Now here, now the text view is invisible. So here I am going to make a change on the toggle button. So I click the toggle button. Now you can see now it is in on state. Vibrate is now on. Now I make it into off state. Okay, so now I am going to add a switch. So I already tell you the switch also performing the same functionality of a toggle button, but the switch is available from Android version 4.0, that means API level 14 onwards. So here I am going to add a switch into this layout. The width is wrap content, height also wrap content. But here we got an error because now the minimum required SDK version is 5. You need to change that one into 14 for working with the switch in your application. So in Android Studio, for changing the minimum required SDK version, you have to make some modification on the Gradle script. But in the case of Eclipse, you can change the minimum required SDK version using the manifest file. But in Android Studio, you have to make some modification on the Gradle script. So open up this build.gradle file. Now here you have to change the minimum SDK version. Now it is 5. So here I am going to change that one into 14. Okay, also for here you can see a message. You need to perform a sync for this change to take effect. So here I am going to sync it now. So click sync now. So now the project sync in progress. Okay, now I think it's finished the syncing. Now go to the activity main.xml file. Yeah, now the error is gone. Okay, So here the width is wrap content, height also wrap content, and here also we need some two text, an off state and on state text. So Android text off, I name it as Wi-Fi off. Now need another text, Android text on, I name it as Wi-Fi on. Okay, here I am going to provide an ID for this, Android ID plus ID, toggle button 2. Okay, also here I am going to align this at the center of the layout using the layout gravity into center horizontal. Now look at the design. Now we got a switch in our layout. For a switch also the default state is off state. Okay, so now we have to, so here for this switch, here I am not going to use an on click method. You can use an on click method for a switch, but here instead of on click method, here I am going to use the on checked state change listener. So go to the main activity.java. So first you need to create an object of switch. I name it as a switch. Initialize that particular object. A switch equal to find view by id r.id dot toggle button 2. Typecast it into switch. Okay, so instead of, here I am going to use the on state change listener instead of on click. So a switch the method name is on checked state. Yeah, the method name is set on checked change listener. It's an anonymous inner type. New on checked change listener. Okay, so in this method we got another method called on checked change. So whenever user make an action on the switch, this method will invoke. You can use the set on checked change listener for the toggle button also. So here we got two arguments, a compound button object and a boolean variable. Here we have a compound button object because the toggle button and the switch is the subclass of compound button. Okay, so here first we have to check whether it is on or off. So if it is checked, we have to display some message using the text view. Use the same text view here. Change this one into Wi-Fi on. Other case we have to display Wi-Fi off. Okay, now we complete the coding. Now we can test the application. So now I am going to run the application. Okay, now we have the application available on the virtual device. So here we have a switch and a toggle button. So now the default state of the switch is off state, so it is Wi-Fi off. Now I am going to make it on. So now it is in on state. Now again make it into off state. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to this channel for getting more video updates on your YouTube homepage as well as on your email. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.